Hi, this is Andrea from the Desteni Farm. Some of us here at the farm are busy studying in various fields like psychology and politics. And within this, we will be able to then qualify in these fields and then be able to do peer reviews and write papers. And also this will allow us the opportunity to educate ourselves within the various systems of the world, so that we're able to speak about these systems and how they do not support equality, how they do not support equal rights for all, and how the current major systems in the world actually will allow and justify and support the inequality and unequal money system and the abuse of all life in this world. So the subject that I've decided to study is psychology, and I've already finished my first semester, and I've decided that when I come across something interesting in my books, then I will share it with you. And today I'm busy studying criminology, and an interesting point here that came up is where they're teaching you about statistics. Now, this is specific criminology with regards to South Africa, and what is interesting is, as most of you are aware from the media and what you've read and heard about South Africa, is our high crime rate. And this will be from carjackings to housebreakings to rape to political instability, fraud, just to mention a few. And interesting, as I'm reading about the section on statistics, they're actually here mentioning that that research has shown that the public's fear of crime is actually more than and greater than the actual risk of crime. And this is a very interesting statement, because obviously what psychology does is it's trying to explain what is happening within human behavior. And this is a very interesting point for me because living in South Africa, I am obviously very aware of the crime and the crime trends and what the government does about it, what the government does not do about it. And obviously everything comes down to money. The government's, if you look at the Apartheid era that ended around about 1996 when Nelson Mandela was released and Affirmative Action was implemented. I actually matriculated in 1996, so the year that I left school and went into the job market was the year that they implemented Affirmative Action, and all the white children were basically told, sorry, it doesn't matter how well you did in school, you do not get the work because you are the wrong skin color. It was quite a difficult year for all of us because in the end I had to walk the streets, literally, with my my matric results, asking for work just to be told, sorry, we cannot give you work. Now, that means that my generation was basically punished for all previous generations, and understand that affirmative action is still in place. From 1996 to now, we still have affirmative action in place. And in other words, our generation has been severely punished for the wrongdoings of our forefathers and our parents and their parents before them, the sins of the fathers. And what I would like to share here is that we are very aware, obviously, of the crime. Even here at the farm, for example, the women don't leave the farm and go into town by themselves. We always try and take at least one guy with us. Things like that you live in South Africa, you are aware of what crime is existent within South Africa, and you keep it practical. You don't allow your fear to overrun you. However, you do keep it practical. You don't walk around the streets at night, things like that. So to read something like this in a psychology book where they actually tell you that people's fear of crime is actually more than the actual crime, to me is a complete justification by the attempts of the psychology people to explain why our government don't have to do anything about this problem that is so overwhelming within South Africa. I mean, the South African economy is suffering because of the amount of fraud and deception that is existent within the government, within the economic system. This is obviously based on, the South African economic system trying to jump on the bandwagon of the world systems, which is now greed and trying to make as much money as possible, and has basically lied to the people of the country to get into power. The existing government will do anything in their power to make people feel that the current situation where the fat are getting fatter and the rich are getting richer and the poor are literally being kicked to the curb, this situation is out of hand, and they'll actually promote the idea that people's fear of crime is greater than the crimes themselves. I mean, you only need to live in South Africa for a while to understand that the crime existent is out of hand. Now, the perspective that I would specifically like to give today is that I was a reservist in the police force for 5 years. Now, the reservist police force is basically where you join the police force and you work for free. You can do it full-time or part-time. They do insist that you work at least 8 hours a month, so it's up to you how many hours you work, but your work is for free. You get extensive training to be able to carry a weapon, to be able to arrest people. You have to study the same as the permanent members. The people get paid. You have to study the law, how arrests are made, basically how to go about, doing police, representing the police, and to be able to wear the uniform and carry the weapon, just like an actual permanent member. So I'm very aware of the crime. I'm very aware of how crime affected people, and still obviously affects people. But what I'm saying is that in my time in the police, which was, I probably left the police force about 4 years ago. So you could say it is pretty recent. And yeah, I'll give you some insight with regards to the crimes that happen as it is portrayed in the media. Yes, some of it does not get, people do not always say when something does happen to them, like in the case of rape, things like that. There is a lot of fraud with regards to people making false claims that their car's been stolen. Meanwhile, they sold the car and is now claiming back from insurance. That does happen a lot. But the cases of crime, hijackings, housebreakings, rape, assault, violence with intent to do bodily harm, that kind of stuff, that happens. And what is even more shocking is that they would actually say that people in South Africa, it's interesting that the fear is more than the actual crimes. What is even more, shocking about my experience within the police force was that the police itself is corrupt.